what is this bunch of shit I'm participating in?
Yeah.
What is this circus? I've made myself a monkey who is dancing on TV. And the clips go around, and I don't really think what I was doing, and that doesn't mean what anyone who's a pundit does, but what I was doing, I don't really think it changed hearts and minds. It's just reinforced the opinions of certain people who already believed what I believed, and then made a whole lot of other people just quite angry.
I'm Lewis Brown, and you're watching Enough About Me with Moya Lothian-McLean. Hi, Moya.
Hello, have the nerves disassipated yet?
No, they're still here. They're still here.
We should play a game just to get rid of them.
Well, do you know what we do? We do because I did loads of drama clubs. We do this thing where we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 1, 2. But you have to do it, and then you go 8, 7, 6, and then you go. But yeah, I am nervous. Hi, Moya, journalist, writer, firebrand, pundit.
Am I still a firebrand and a pundit? I think there's been a slow change in career.
Yeah, there has. And actually, when I was stalking your internet footprint,
I'm so sorry.
Well, you described yourself as a former political pundit. That's how you see yourself now.
Very much so, because I don't do punditry anymore. When was the last time you saw a clip of me reaming out some poor Labour MP?
No, I suppose you don't. You kind of made a name for yourself doing that.
Yeah, and it's a name that I guess I regret it in some ways.
Why?
Do you know, regret is too strong a word. I made a very conscious decision that I wasn't going to do punditry anymore because I felt that I had not really gone out and experienced enough of the world. Like, I had opinions, but why should they be listening to me? And people really were listening. It's like I was representing a portion of the left at a time when we were taken more seriously, I think. And I didn't think I had the qualifications to actually be doing that. And also, if you end up doing punditry, you end up in this loop where you're just talking. And you don't have time to actually go and talk to the people that you're meant to be representing and see what they think. And I was very conscious that the more pundit-brained I became, the less I would actually think in terms of, well, how does this politics materially impact people? And more I would think in the triangle of points that you're meant to make when you go on media, which is what they teach you.
Oh, wait, did you do media training?
No, I didn't do media training when I started doing media. And then they brought me in to teach people how to do media. So I learned the media training through giving the course and what you're meant to say.
What's the 3 points?
Well, you're meant to do this thing which is like, there's a triangle of points. I can't remember exactly. And it's like you have your main point and then you put a stat in the middle and you finish it off. But you're meant to always have someone in mind as well the person who's least likely to want to listen to what you're saying, or the person who's really busy. I won't give away all the secrets, but it's also talking people rather than numbers. So when you're communicating a point, tell a story. One thing that punditry, writing articles, doing podcasts tells you have to tell a story. It doesn't matter what the form is. If it's sort of like narrative in any sense, it's storytelling. So there's always going to be a beginning, middle, end. The best anecdotes, beginning, middle, end. The best sort of like articles, beginning, middle, end. There should be a climactic resolution. People want to follow characters. So a lot of people they think that if they'll to like give themselves legitimacy, they should say, well, X amount of people died here. That doesn't mean, that means, can I swear on this podcast?
Yeah.
It means fuck all to people. Whereas if you go on TV and you say, well, like, imagine, Anfield being filled and that's how many people died. People get it.
Yeah.
You have to quantify things in terms that people understand. Stats don't do anything. Stats don't win people over. That's what I meant.
So was there a point where you went, I can't do this anymore, or was it like as you were doing it, it didn't feel right? I
think, God, how candid do I get? Because if I get really candid, it's juicy. But if I don't, then I might preserve some of my career.
Well, you got a book coming out. And that's going to be a bestseller, and then
it's not going to be a bestseller. There was a point where it's hard to remember exactly when it was, because I think when I was doing the punditry, every time I would get very nervous and I'd really prepare as well. And that was another thing that marked out a lot of the pundits who leaned my way from other pundits who leaned other ways politically. You'd go into the studio, say Politics Live, and I remember one Conservative. Do you remember them? The Conservatives? It's all Reform now. I remember Conservative.
Well, they're the same people.
Yeah. They're the same people, just with an even harder edge. One Conservative commentator who's always just yanked in because he'll say yes to anything said, it's always worrying when you're on because you really actually bother, preparing. Because I had all my notes and everything. And I was just like, what is this bunch of shit I'm participating in?
Yeah.
What is this circus? I've made myself a monkey who is dancing
Yeah.
on TV. And the clips go around, and I don't really think what I was doing, and that doesn't mean what anyone who's a pundit does, but what I was doing, I don't really think it changed hearts and minds. It's just reinforced the opinions of certain people who already believed what I believed, and then made a whole lot of other people just quite angry about seeing, not even my face, but not even my face in particular. I could have been any face from that sort of political demographic.
Yeah, I don't even think that punditry can change minds. Like I do actually think the point of it is to have someone who is articulate, who knows their facts, argue what I believe on TV. Do you know what I mean?
Well, that's what I thought, but my boyfriend says that I do it dirty. He's not even talking about me, he's talking about other pundits that he sees, and he thinks there's some of you are really good. And he says, I think because you've been in the operation yourself, you have such a dim view of it. But I'd have to do one of those mass surveys to really come up with a conclusive answer. But for me, at least, also it made me feel so. My skill set as a pundit was so shallow, and I was so replaceable. I remember one time, you really realise how you're just one on a conveyor belt when you're a pundit. I remember like one time I got emailed, and Ash had dropped out of something, and they'd emailed me to replace her, but they'd left in the entire email chain. It was just like, well, Ash isn't available. That Moya girl, maybe she's around, and it's like, I'm just a stand-in.
Someone else to do it. But then it is a skill, and it is a good skill, because you can tell when someone's bad at it. Yeah,
you can, but I think that there's so many talented people in this world, and then lots of them could do punditry, and I think that would be a real waste.
Yeah.
I think that would be a real waste. It is, at the end of the day, talking for talking's sake. We have a real talking industry, so we're doing talking industry right now. And the doing industries have got lesser.
Yeah. Everyone wants to be, well, I'm doing this because I'm not doing what I...
Well, no, I saw this...
No one's paying me to do what I want to do. No,
everyone does want to be a content creator of some sort, because there's a whole thing mixed up with that. Like, creating content means that you've left like your mark in some way.
Well, I mean, everyone does want to be a content creator, and we'll get into that. But one moment that has just come to mind was one of your viral moments on these, like, while you were being a pundit, was that time, was it, I can't remember, it must have been Sky News or something, and it was, you were against some, like, right-wing, like, talking head or whatever.
The feminism.
Yeah. And then that went super viral.
Yeah, for those people who don't know what Lewis is talking about, I was on an interview where we were talking, what was the thing that sparked it? It was another journalist called Ava Santina, and there had been an interaction, some sort of misogynistic interaction she just endured. And I was asked to come on Sky, and it was when I was leaving the punditry scene. Okay. I thought that I was like, I actually do want to talk about this. I'll come and talk about this. And I was talking about how these things are just used as fodder for these debates. I got meta with it, which I probably thought was so smart at the time. And it was revealed during the course of this interview that I hadn't been offered payment, but my opposite had been offered payment. And not only had he been offered payment, usually Sky paid about £70, right, when you came and was talking head, and he'd somehow been offered 200 quid. And this was like a 26-year-old man with no qualifications who just happened to be right-wing. And when I say qualifications, I don't mean academic qualifications. I mean, like, what legitimized that man to be there talking about this? I feel like I have a long history of talking about, women's rights as part of my political journalistic career. Where did this man come from? I looked him up. Where were the credentials? Show me the credentials. They weren't there, and yet he was being offered £200 to come on and argue that there was no misogyny involved in the incident we were talking about.
And that is crazy, because I do think they literally do come from nowhere. Like, the credentials are so-and-so, I mean, we can go into this. So-and-so, some fucking rich guy has, like, given him loads of money to be a podcaster or whatever. That's what it seems like.
Well, it's just, you're loud and in charge, and I think that's the problem in a talking world. Whoever's the loudest seems to speak for everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, well, that's why we need, like, clever, loud people, I guess.
Is it, though? It's the case of, will the master's tools ever dismantle the house?
Yeah.
If you yell, someone else will just yell louder?
Yeah, I've spoken about this with a bunch of people who've been on this show.
Seems like a recurring thing.
Well, it is, because part of this is, like, what is it for, right? And, like, I can't pretend that, like, I wasn't sitting there after the election and everyone was going, we need a more left-wing Joe Rogans. And I was like, I'll be a left-wing Joe Rogan. But like, what is it for? What are we doing? If these algorithms are literally designed to encourage reaction and hate and anger, how can we counteract it? Get
offline.
In the shit. I like get offline, yeah.
Get offline is the fundamental answer, I think, to most of our problems.
And I like the phrase, don't like getting in a ring with kind of these people online is like wrestling with a pig in shit. You get covered in shit and a pig loves it.
I've started using a new one of that, which is like, if you swim in the toilet, you are just shit.
Okay. You're just shit. Okay. Let's go back. I've got this image of you with your notes, and I've got this image of little Moya in rural Hertfordshire.
Herefordshire.
Herefordshire.
Take the T out of your mouth. No one knows what this place is. No one knows what this place is.
Can I do? I'm gonna
Guess
my English geography. Is it northwest of London?
No.
Northeast.
It's nearer to you.
Oh, is it? Or is it northeast?
Maybe no, it is west actually. Well, it's west of the country. I'm bad at directions. So you've got northwest, and I'm like northwest is like Bognor Regis, northwest of London, right? Leicester, that's northwest. Because northwest is Newcastle. Is that northeast?
Well, no, but that's north. I'm talking just like it's his home counties, right?
No, absolutely not.
Oh, is it not?
That's what. Okay.
Herefordshire. Tell me about Herefordshire.
Herefordshire is on the border of Wales.
We're West Midlands. So yeah, it is the west.
We're West Midlands, but we're not home counties.
Oh, you're West Midlands.
No, we're rural farming county.
Did your accent change?
My accent got beaten out of me by my mother about age 6. So I was born in Eastbourne. Yeah. So I was born down south, and I lived there till I was 5. But my family have always been based in Herefordshire for like several generations. The cottage that I live in, well, my mum lives in, that I grew up in from 5. Was her family had moved there. She spent her teen years there. Before that, it was her aunt's. Before it was bought by my family in like 1901.
Oh, that is so cute.
But it's a Tudor cottage, so it's really old. It's very old. Like 2 bedrooms.
What, like falling down?
Yeah, it's leaning.
Okay.
It's like leaning like Pisa. It's farm cat. So my accent for a bit was like this. Actually, Somerset's rounder. So Somerset's like, all right, my lover, like that. Yeah. Whereas Herefordshire's like flatter, like that. So my accent, I would say like work. And my mum was like, if you talk like that, you won't get a job. Because she's from Derbyshire. And she got sent to, she's 1954. So she's Matlock, Darley Dale way.
Okay, I know Matlock. My grand's from Chester.
So she's from just above Darley Dale. Okay. And her family also, again, my grandma was a farmer. My grandfather's family was in haulage, and they've got like an interesting class up and down, which always made me think about like how class moves. Because when my mother was born, they'd managed to like get into like lower middle class through my father's business, and then it went bust. And so my mother had a middle class upbringing and a middle class sensibility, and I'm going to university, like I'm going to talk like this, and I'm going to shop in these places. And I would say we always joke with her, like she's a bit of a snob,
High sympathy K kind of vibes.
Yeah, exactly. I used to call her that when I was little. Whereas like my aunt, who's younger than her, who's very successful in what she's done and has made more money than my mother materially, but grew up with much more working class sensibility and was a hairdresser, and has always lived around Herefordshire since she was little, and she's the person who like slapped the snobbery out of me when I was younger. So I'd say, parrot my mother, and she'd be like, what the fuck are you talking about? Kind of vibes. So I had these 2 matriarchal figures in my life, and then my grandma, but yeah, so my mother was like, if you talk in a Herefordian accent, you're not going to get a job when you're older. And of course, all my cousins who have Herefordian accents have very good jobs. Like, they've done really well for themselves. In different ways.
I feel sorry for that generation, because like they were living off evidence of the world in which they lived.
Yeah, and it's true. Would I have a job in the field I am in? Would I be podcasting? Would I be doing journalism if I had my accent like that?
Yeah, true. Maybe.
That's the question. Where are the rural accents in left-wing politic.
Well, you get a lot of people who kind of do Mockney accents, don't you?
Yeah. Well, there's Mockney, and it's like, yeah, like, you know, like, I don't know, you know, I'm not going to say Gary Stevens' accent isn't real, but when we think of like the accent of like, yeah. And I grew up and I'm like the best trader in the world.
Yeah. So, what was he, the most profitable trader at Citibank?
Yeah, like I always knew that I'd be the best trader in the world. There's some guy on TikTok who's just the best impression of Gary Stevens.
I know, I've seen it. It's so
too
good.
good.
Yeah, it's so
But
good.
if I had these biscuits, but there's not a person going, now if I had these biscuits, you know, like they're not talking like that. That's the Archers.
Yeah, true. And there is still that characterization in your head when you hear that accent. It's funny because my boyfriend's from Cornwall and he also doesn't sound like he's from Cornwall, which is very bizarre.
What's his class position? Tell me now.
Similar to what you just described. He grew up in like a cottage and his mum was like that, but it's kind of like on that border of like lower middle class.
If you want to get into the media in a serious way, you need to be able to speak in the cultural register of the middle class. I've said this on...
I used to go to this theatre when I was a kid and it's full of like posh old white people. And I remember there was a like there was a black woman on Radio 4 with like a London accent. And I remember the posh old people, I must have been about 16, and these posh old people were like complaining about her accent on Radio 4, being like, it's not Radio 4, it's not a Radio 4 voice. And this is like the 2000s.
Where's your Bristolian accent?
Where's my Bristolian accent? Yeah. I'm not from
I
Bristol.
thought you were Bristol.
No, I'm not. I'm from London.
I thought you were from Bristol.
No.
But where's your London accent?
Where's my London accent? Do you know what? Funnily enough, my
question.
brother like talks like this.
Yeah.
That's how my brother talks. And it's quite funny. And I think I talk a little bit posher because I'm faggot, because I'm gay. I do. And funnily enough, my nan was like a Hyacinth Bouquet woman. And she loved it. She hated the way my mum talks because my mum's more London and she's just like, I don't know, she just talks like a London woman. And I was like, mother,
darling.
Mother.
Where do you think you got that from, though? What were the influences? Because it isn't just the gay gene automatically. Like you might be.
Do you know what? At the end of the day, I went to a middle class white primary school. I did, and then in high school, it's a wider pool of people, and everyone kind of changed their voice to sound like London, and I didn't. I was like, I'm not changing.
And do you think
voice.
that has influenced the people that you've met and made friends with in your groups ever since, the way you speak? Because I definitely think it's changed everything and how I'm received.
Yeah, I think so. I get a bit, do you know what? I do get a bit conscious about it when I'm around people who are not like queer, like middle class East London types. Do you know what I mean? I get a bit like, oh, I don't need to like put on a voice. I don't know. Got like, maybe it's
sometimes
like
I change my voice a bit when I'm talking to people and I don't want to piss them off. Like when I'm in Scotland, I'll go a little bit more like this.
What's like be less like English coded?
Like be a bit less like Southerner.
Okay.
And sometimes my vowels will go a bit more northern.
How often are you in Scotland?
Quite a lot at the moment.
For work?
Work, love.
Boyfriend, which is...
People don't care about that yet. You need to ask me the questions about my youth again.
Well, we'll get back to that, but I wanted to know...
invested in me
I do
yet.
want to know, did you always want to be a writer or journalist?
Do you know what's funny? There wasn't really any other option. My memory of what I wanted to be as a small person was a detective.
Okay.
But
which I can see.
Because I'm nosy as hell.
Yeah. You kind of do that. You kind of do that.
I am detecting all the time. I'm detecting the gossip. But I used to, when I was little, it was always writing and reading. Like always, my mum read to me. This is the thing that you can make a reader and a writer out of any child. You just have to have the time to read to them. And a lot of parents don't. That is another thing about the middle classes. Like they invest in the reading because they've been told that's the key. Like, so all people of my mother's generation, at least, because she was born in 1954. So her thing was get an education. Like you've got to go to university. I'm going to read to you every night. Read. And so I was read to from very young. And it's funny because my cousin now has 3 kids and they're so bright. And she's like, it's because I read to them just like you read to your kids to my mum. She really says that's, she's seen that impact on them. So once I could start reading myself, my mum said I used to take the books and I would finish them secretly before she could finish them, reading them to me, which is classic because my impatience was there from the get-go. And when my sister came along, I remember games we used to play. I'd write her long letters pretending to be comedy traveler in the world and like send the letters to her and she'd read them, and then we'd do things like we'd have to make up films. So all our games were based around storytelling. There was a lot of storytelling involved. And I was just good at English. I was just good at English because of those things. And when you're in school, you often get sort of like pigeonholed into different brackets, I guess. And I was quite an all-rounder. Like, I was lucky. I come from an athletic family. But because I could write really well, and because I was good at storytelling, and because I was made to be quite confident, I was encouraged, then they just said, you're good at writing, so carry on doing that thing. So I carried on doing that thing. And it was the way I knew how to communicate best. So I guess it wasn't that I wanted to be a writer. I just found it easy.
Okay.
And I just kept doing it.
Yeah, it's kind of weird because you get rewarded for something when you're a child and you just think, this is what I do now.
Well, like acting, how did that
Well,
come
exactly. I did a play when I was like 16 and I got told I was brilliant, and then I spent my life in hospitality because of it as a fucking reward.
And it's like, so, this thing your brain is so pliable.
Yeah.
And it hears, I'm really good at that thing and I want this praise. I love the feeling of having praise. I'll have some more, please. Yeah, exactly. And actually, I would like to know, because I had it. And when you find something you're naturally good at, and then there comes a point where you are not always good at it, and you have to then try and be good at it. Yeah. Your relationship changes, and you kind of almost lose confidence in yourself. You're like, oh, I could always just do it, and you don't know what learning to do it feels like. Well, there's always a point where, as you say, natural talent runs out and graft has to step in. That's sort of a bit I've been coming to terms with over the last few years, I'd say, because I started working somewhere where I could develop more. So, and I was really starting to think about how to put a piece of writing together. So how to structure something, how to tell a story, different ways, like what actually is my style? Like, how can I write something that's more than just, zipped off and really think about it? And I think with the book as well, that's been a real struggle, because I look around at some of my peers who, like some of my really good friends who are some of the best writers I know, and I look at how much time and effort they put into their craft, and it became aware to me, unless I have that time, I'm never going to be that good. Like, the talent has run out. I do have to now start working and making that time for myself. And what I've realized about that is in order to do that, I'm going to have to get rid of my phone addiction as a starter. Tell me about it. Because you can't create if your mind's always full. You have to allow that space and boredom. I'd have to read more again. Again, I have to bring that time back, because if I can't read, I'm not taking in. When I think about how I started writing and how zingy it was when I was 19, I was writing just blogs. I had so much time to read, and I had so much time to think, because I didn't yet have the same, addictions I did. But also I was just like, things ran off my tongue because I was funny. I'm not funny anymore. I can't write funny. It's got very weighty and loaded. Okay. Because I'm thinking in formulas, and I'm thinking too much in the way of, trending styles of writing, or if you're on Substack, short like little essays and like metrics. I think of metrics. Okay. If you really want to create, you have to get rid of all of that. Like, if you want to do something really good that's individual and actually has a voice, you have to get rid of it. Is there something about learning, I don't know, you hear that with jazz music, innit? You learn the rules and then you break the rules. Well, yeah, it's the Picasso thing. I mean, I don't know if I'll ever be a rule breaker because I'm such a rule follower, but unless I give myself the time to find out, I think I'm just hemming my potential in. That's why I stuck to opinion for so long as well, because I'm just good at it. It's just easy to write an opinion piece. Tell me about what you did when you were writing your book that changed. Like, how did you make that happen for yourself? What changed? Well, the book isn't good yet. That's something that you need to know. Okay. Like, it's in the process of edits. Okay, because we know that, you've got the book, you sold the book. So the way the book writing works is you sell a draft. Okay. And the draft is like decent, right? It's decent enough that someone came and said, I want to pay a large amount of money for this. I think this will sell. But when I look back at the draft, I'm like, what a pile of caca. The draft is like, if you've ever drawn, it's the sketch, it's the first sketch, it's the rough sketch, and you have to layer the paint on until it becomes this really good thing. And there's also a limit in different forms of what you can do to make it a really good thing. I've written a rom-com, so that's commercial fiction. Fun. it's fun, but it's never going to be a Booker Prize winner, you know?
But does it need to be?
No.
Do you want it to be? Is that part of your life? Do you have that?
No, I don't want. No, if I aim for that, I'd die unhappy. No, I want it to be like funny.
Yeah.
My aim for the book is it to be really funny. I want people to sit and hoot and holler when they're.
Are we talking like Jackie Collins?
No, I'm thinking more like Monica Hayes.
Okay.
So I want it to be a book that when people read it, they have a laugh.
Yeah.
Because I think that we're in an era of seriousness.
Mm-hmm.
Everything's like Ocean Vuong,
Yeah.
Sally Rooney. You know, it's like these existential weighty novels.
Yeah.
And when I think of the moments of levity I've experienced over the last few years, you know, like watching Rivals, reading really good, actually, going back reading old like a Bill Bryson book, and that feeling has stayed with me because it's like, oh, this culture's funny, this culture's fun, this culture has a lightness to it. And I think in times of economic and political turmoil, giving some people something with a lightness is going to stick in their minds quite a lot. So it's actually quite a canny move to try and make it do that. But it's also for my own sake. It's, you know, if I write too serious, I'm always just going to be a run-of-the-mill serious writer. There's so many of us out there. But if I write with a twinkle in my eye and make people laugh, I'm doing something that not everyone's able to do.
Enjoying this conversation? Please hit the like button and help spread the word by sharing it with your friends. I will love you forever. Now, back to the show. So you have an idea of the kind of writer you want to be?
Yeah, I guess I do. I guess it's being formed throughout the process. And that's also something I've had to come to terms with because I've always been someone who wants, now, I want certainty. Mm-hmm. I want everything ordered and structured. And the massive turmoil that's taking place in my life right now is everything I thought I wanted, I've sort of like completed. And now it's like, well, what now? Okay, time to really challenge yourself and do something that might also challenge your conceptions of who you are and what you want and how you would get that.
I mean, I think that's really impressive.
Well, I haven't done it yet, so
well, I mean, it is really.
Don't clap for me yet.
You've written a book, and I think that in and of itself is a very impressive thing to do.
Is it? Some books are really shit.
Yeah, some books are really shit, and some people shouldn't be writing books. But like, there are so many people who wish they had the time or wish they had the fearlessness, the courage to do it, and don't.
I wrote that book I was really depressed when I wrote it as well. So I was so burnt out. That's another thing I've had to realise, that the cycle of burnout isn't going to end. I have to end it myself. But I was so burnt out, and I asked my employer, can I have like a 3-day week? Because I'm very depressed. And he gave it me, and I said, I'm going to write this book in the meantime. And I just used the 2 extra days to write the first, like, majority of the book. And then I came back to work and went full-time again, and it's impossible to write a book when you're full-time. The people who do it are machines. If they're getting up at like 6 a.m., you know, they must have a job that is less creative and demanding. That's all I'm going to say. Don't believe, for people listening, that everyone who's managed to write a book with a full-time... If you have a full-time job that involves creating in some way, you're probably not going to write a book on top of that. I'm sorry. It's just not... These people have jobs in like finance, and they're pressing one button on the Excel spreadsheet, and that's why they're doing it. Like, I'm not to diminish the achievement, but it takes different brain. So I couldn't write anything, and I had to take my holidays. So I used all my holidays for a year just to write a book. Write a book. And so you can imagine how dead I was at the end of that. Oh,
that's so bizarre, or not bizarre, but like I'm thinking. So are you reading? I wonder when you read it back. Are you like? Does it take you back to where you were when you were?
No, when I read it back, I think, right, I need to change all of this. I need to rewrite this bit. I need to do this bit. It doesn't take me back, but it's more that in hindsight I can see what did change is that I don't want to write another rom-com.
Okay.
So
what was that decision about?
Well, the problem was when I wrote the rom-com, I was first of all starved of like romantic love, really starved. Like I was in a famine, and I was really like, I'm never going to find it, and I was depressed. So I wanted to write my own. Yeah. And that was because I was watching I was watching so many rom-coms and reading so many rom-coms at the time. I ran out of them, the good ones. Okay. I was like, fuck it, I'm going to write my own.
Fan fiction.
Well, I won't confirm that I once dabbled in the fan fiction trenches, but I may have dabbled.
Wait, so did you kind of manifest a relationship?
No, I didn't manifest it. I went to therapy. Okay. But I wrote this rom-com, and it's also because one of my best friends is an author who writes romance. And
Annie.
Yeah, Annie, amazing. Like, I hope her book might be out. No, her book's coming out on the 16th of July. It's called The Project. Now, that is an amazing upmarket literary fiction book that has elements of rom-com.
Amazing.
It's so good. Anyway, but I've read Annie's writing, and I've also watched her dedication to the business of love. And I don't have that. I actually don't possess that. Like, I'm interested in rom-coms. I love rom-coms, but I don't think I have more than one romance book in me. So I've already started on the second.
Already?
Yeah.
Well, I suppose yeah.
Well, I've started the ideas. I don't have the time to do it
Okay.
yet, but I've got, sample writing that, and I know what I want to do. It's very different.
I mean, that's very type A. That's very like regimented.
It's more that
Get it moving.
It's more that now I've written one book. I've realised the signs of when you can write another, which is, it was an idea I'd had for years and years and years.
Yeah.
And it just didn't leave me. And initially I wanted to do a podcast as a podcast, and it just didn't go away. And then the book, it unfurled itself to me. And when an idea won't leave you, when it nags at you again and again, that's when you should do it.
That's beautiful. I'll take that.
You should take that. Like, if it's something you keep thinking about, you have to do it in some way.
Right, let's talk about the industry that you love and hate. You first got into journalism through music.
Yeah, I
Music
did.
writing,
Okay, someone's
right?
done some research.
Yeah. Was that something intentional? You said you did blogs.
It was very intentional, I think, in a way, because I wrote exactly. I've said this before, but I wrote in the style of Vice.
Yeah.
Loved Vice at the time because I was 19. I was 19 in 2013. I actually was mandated to love Vice.
It was just for you. It was you were the target audience.
Yeah. And so I wrote a music blog in that sort of like slightly snarky style of Vice, and I was covering just new music that was coming out, and then also wrote occasionally a think piece about pop stars. And because this was the days when Twitter was like a democratic, actually it was never democratic, but it was a platform where it really was a market square that would just throw you in with people who you were never supposed to meet.
Yeah.
And I've said this story loads of places, but basically the head of music at Vice at that time was somehow following me on Twitter, saw my work, sent it to one of his editors and said, "Oh, get that person to freelance." And that's how I started freelancing. Just thrown in, which was the best way.
So what was that marketplace like? Like you use the word democratic. Was there a sense that the industry in that kind of mid 2010s era was kind of opening up, expanding, and was that real?
Well, this is the thing. Was it real? It wasn't. It was real for a while.
Okay.
In that it was opening up, and that it's hard to say because someone has yet to write the definitive book on exactly what happened to media in the 2010s. As far as I know, if people know that this has been written, tell me, because I want to read it. I love, unfortunately, consuming books about journalism. It did feel like doors were being opened, and then as that decade wore on, it became obvious that they were in some ways, but there was still a ceiling, and there was still a siloing of particular voices and the training to be, a journalist. I was doing features writing and very amateur reporting and mostly opinion writing. And it became obvious that certain voices were going to be siloed into those spaces, and that, this level of like proper reporter, proper investigations person, there was still like a real cap on how many of us would be able to get into those spaces because they were at the traditional newspapers. But I'm not gonna. It has opened up in a lot of ways. What's now that journalism is sort of narrowing again, we're seeing there's been the back. It's hard to get into because it's like you'd have to do like a sociological analysis of everything that's gone on. But there's been a backlash to woke.
Yeah.
And that trickle down effect, even when people don't think that it's having an impact, is having such an impact on who we are allowing ourselves to see as the gatekeepers of media, and who's the responsible people who can have it in charge, who can be in charge of these things again, and what we expect from our media. I think everyone's got very tired for fighting for a more diverse media. And the problem was as well, when we had that sort of like diversity push in media, the young journalists from backgrounds who weren't traditionally represented, they weren't being trained, so a lot of them were shit. Like I'm not gonna sugarcoat it. a lot of us were shit, right? And we weren't able to do what we were asked. And there was a real gap in communication between the people asking us to do stuff. And there was a tokenization where it was just like, oh, well, that's the best you're going to be. So it was sort of like accepted. And it led to both anger on the side, I would say, of a whole cohort of journalists from underrepresented background who were both very defensive about being edited and learning, but also really wanted to, but they've been communicated with in a way that was at once patronizing and dismissive. And so that made these dividing lines worse. And when people did get trained, it was just like you get trained in the same voices and they tended to then perpetuate the same sort of like biases against their own communities. It was really interesting to watch.
Yeah, when I look back and I think you get built into the same mold. Like, obviously, I don't know it as intimately as you. I just noticing a few people that maybe made it into certain publications that were like, if your politics were any good, you wouldn't be working for that publication anyway. But I guess, like, for example, I heard that the Daily Mail, for example, was really good
the
at
Telegraph,
like
so
getting
diverse.
people
So diverse.
in.
Yeah.
And then you're also kind of like watching people who are not good and not like, and they seem to be on there just because they're like the brown face or whatever.
There's tokenization. We uplifted a lot of, and there's another class-based thing as well, where there's been like an uplifting of people like me who are middle or upper class, and we became the representatives of sort of like economically deprived ethnic minorities.
That happened across the board, and it's kind of like, I don't know, there must be statistics about how that whole kind of representation model, the main benefactors of it were people who are already in a kind of upper class, middle class wealth bracket of who are people of colour.
Yeah, and we'd been trained to talk in, as I said, the cultural register.
Yeah.
And so therefore when it came to like the grants or it came to, and we also had that slight sense of entitlement that you're equipped with when you're given, you're put in the middle classes or like the upper classes. And I think it changes depending on where you sit in that class spectrum. But it's this idea of like, yeah, I'm going to go for it, but I'm squeezed and, I'm oppressed. And it's like, well, it fits as well into like the modern victim mentality that we have all been equipped with. Everyone is like, I'm in pain and I've got it bad. It's not like we're collectively having it bad. It's like, well, but my pain is louder than
I'm
else's,
the worst.
and I need you to see like, and I deserve this. Everyone's like, I deserve this. Everything's about being recognized and having yourself having your deservingness recognized. It's not a word.
What you said about the entitlement feeling, I've had this conversation with like friends of ours about knowing people who are like connected or influential and being like, oh, should I ask them for something? I feel bad. I don't know. I feel bad about it. And a friend of mine was just like, rich people don't think like that. They just go, I know someone who is an employer and I will just ask.
It is insane. That is one of the main things that I think has held me back in my career. I've watched people who can network like that, and I've watched people who come from backgrounds, I hate the word privilege, but like backgrounds that are more advantaged even than mine, and they just ask. Sometimes they don't even ask, they just tell.
Yeah, they're just like, oh, I'm just going to get a job with this person, or I'm just going to hang out with this person.
They're like, hey mate, they won't have met this person in their life. Hey mate, looking for this, you got anyone? And the person's like, yeah, sure.
Yeah, and the fear I have is that, oh, they're going to think that I'm only friends with them to get something from them, and I don't want to be that kind of like leech or whatever. So I don't do it, but yeah.
But also the thing as well is in the delivery, because if you ask and you're like, I'm so sorry, can I get? People can smell that you don't back yourself.
Yeah,
they can smell it, and they're just like, no. If you ask them like, mate, can I have this thing? They're like, yeah. It's mad the way that power begets power.
Yeah.
Presenting yourself as someone who just should have this. And people might not like you, but they'll give it you.
You've got to do Anna Delvey.
Anna Delvey, but it's not just Anna Delvey. It's like, you watch it, we live in a grabby world. And if you want to participate in that way, you have to grab. But the problem is that grabbing does chip away at you. I think soul-wise.
Yeah. All right, so let's talk about gal-dem.
Oh, shall we? Okay.
Because that was another stage of your career that like made Moya the brand.
Am I a brand? Do you think I'm a brand? I don't think I'm big enough to be a brand.
Moya ML to
Moya
LM to Moya.
Am I just Moya?
In my phone, it always autocorrects with a little
Yeah, with a
dash
little
on the
thing.
top. Is that your name? Is that how you
No,
spell it?
no, that's just Apple putting.
Is it Apple? Yeah, I always
putting an
thought.
accent on it. I've thought about like when I do
Skipping.
books, if I do fiction, I wanted to do Moya, and then for non-fiction, I want my full name. It's just easy to separate.
Are you going to do it?
I don't think my agent will let me.
Okay.
She says that's not a good marketing idea. I think it's a good.
Oh, so you've been talking. You've had these negotiations.
I've been putting these ideas forward. So I have marketing ideas.
Okay, so
I've been told they're all shit.
I mean, right. So gal-dem, right?
Yeah.
That was another kind of product of that era of independent media. A diversified marketplace of independent media, and that also ended up being a casualty of the retraction.
It did and it didn't.
Okay, explain.
I can't really talk about the story of gal-dem too much in some ways.
Okay.
Because I came in after it founded. I wasn't a founder. I thought it was amazing. I left as well before it ended.
Okay.
And the story of why it ended in public perception, I think, is different to why it actually ended. And
Okay.
I think there were things that were squandered about gal-dem. For example, at its peak, it had 5,000 paying members.
Good.
It's a lot of members.
Yeah.
But internally, the company structure was changed. And
Okay.
people were brought in who got paid a lot of money who didn't need to be paid a lot of money. And then the company ran out of its financial runway.
Is that because it was like acquired by a bigger company or
No,
something like that?
it wasn't acquired by anyone. If it had been acquired by someone, then everyone could have left with a good payout.
Yeah. Wait. So what was your experience there?
I think gal-dem was amazing.
Yeah.
I was so lucky. Charlie brought me in, who was editor, Charlie Brinkes-Cuff, who was the editor at the time. I still have really good, some of my best friends have come from gal-dem. You look at the alumni who came from there, both as freelance writers and the talent who were staff.
Yeah.
It was so obvious that it was scrappy, it was amateur. There were things that we published that, would not be up to scratch in a fully professional paper, but that was the point. It was a midway between, your university publications and then you get to these bigger ones. It trained people up, it gave people bylines. We could pull out talent, both internally and externally, who've gone on to do really amazing things. Like you look at the LinkedIn of people who've said they got their first byline at gal-dem, the New York Times, they're like at The Guardian, they're like making podcasts, they're working at some of the biggest companies in the world. Where is that stepping stone now? So as part of terms of my experience was nothing but joyful. And then, Susan Haynes came in as editor. I loved her so much, still really good friends with her. I thought everyone who worked there was so talented. I thought the way it ended was a real shame and a waste.
I mean, you said where is that stepping stone now, right? Do you think that someone like yourself could cut their teeth in the media environment of today?
I think me, yes.
Because you will always make it. No, I'm joking.
No, it wasn't that.
Why do you say you
I
specifically?
think me, yes, because if you look at my trajectory, I was one of those middle class people who'd already worked at. When I came to gal-dem, I'd gone from a print magazine. So I started post-university. My first job was at Stylist magazine.
Yeah.
Went from Stylist to the BBC, like only 3 months, short-term contract. Hated it. But I'd made that jump. I had that in. Then I worked on like the independence verticals. I was still working for Vice. Like I was racking up the kind of CV that you can do. So it was my choice to then go into independent media because I just liked it 10 times more.
What was the thing that drew you there?
Well, I'd worked at the BBC and I thought that was, as I said, the worst place I'd ever worked. It's a big creaking dinosaur. It's Byzantine structures. The people who leave are the talent. The people who stay are terrible most of the time. Some of you are good. And I just thought this is meant to be the pinnacle of legacy media in the UK. And I hate it. Like, it's not for me at all. Whereas gal-dem was this nimble thing where you could shape your own, shape your own work, shape your own sort of agenda. And I also knew that if I was ever going to get that experience of being an editor, probably wasn't going to be someone at the BBC. Like, I could be the most talented person in a room, wouldn't matter. Not somewhere like that. I watched the managers that I worked under stifle some of the best talent they had. And I was like, I'm not doing that.
In those institutions.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. The people who had the positions of power in the middle are scared of the people coming up. And the reason they've held on so long is because they are not because they have this talent themselves, but because they are ossified and they know how to play the politics of it. And it's just they were so allergic as well to fresh ideas. And I thought what I was doing at the BBC was some of the worst journalism I've ever had to do.
What makes it that?
Because it's so bloated and because it's so stuck between, because it thinks of itself as like, it's really hard to get into because I'd have to go into all like, there's 5 editors pieces go through. When things got, like an idea will come out, it'll go up the ranks, it'll get killed, it'll get watered down until it's not a piece of journalism. It takes so long to get anything commissioned there.
Okay.
And they're also chasing clicks. So they're aggregating stuff from other sites and making you write up rubbish from like news sites like Yahoo News, even though they don't need ads. They don't have ads, so there's no reason to do that. It's baffling, really baffling. They'll do the same old safe stories. That's why you see on BBC News, like someone will cover some trend piece on, I don't know, Billboard music, and then a week later there's a really watered down rubbish piece in the BBC News talking about the same trend. You're like, why is this on the BBC News? It's not news. This is about, and everything's so hedging its bets. They can't take any opinions. They can't make any sides. So all the news, unless it is like breaking news and just a news line, is just this real watered down piece. And you do get really good stuff out of there. Like I think BBC Scotland, for example, does some of the best true crime, as in like sensitive, actually has a public interest documentaries I've ever come across. But there's pockets of the BBC that are just being cut that do the best stuff, like the World Service. Yeah. And then the main BBC that's just constantly like, it's like every other news company. It's chasing what works, but it doesn't realise what would actually work is to do original reporting that's innovative, and people do come. But you feed people slop because they think people want slop, and then they'll eat the slop, but they won't enjoy it and they won't come back.
Yeah, one thing I've noticed the BBC doing is their TikTok strategy is to just get like a good-looking young person to read the headline to you, which I guess will like make you watch it, but I think it's going to it's going to take more than that.
Well, I promise you, behind the scenes, there's like they'll be like in a department. Also, they've got so many different competing departments that don't make sense, but they'll have like 5 people in a department trying to bang on the door saying we should do this story, we should do this story, this is a good idea, and it'll end up eventually just being a good-looking person reading the newsline because that's what someone higher up. 5 higher ups have looked over this, watered it down every time, eventually killed it, and then you just end up with having to put that out. It is nonsense.
So what are the essential components of good journalism?
In my mind, it depends if it's narrative or not. That's another thing. In my mind, good journalism is, it's hard to say. It's like it's like when you put your pin in, you just know it, but you can't like write it out. I'd say, first of all, it has an opinion, but it presents all sides. Okay. So it doesn't have to be objective, but it should strive to really be fair. I think that's good journalism. I think there has to be an element of storytelling. It should be focused on people. It should also be looking in the places, I would say, that other people aren't. And the main thing is it should be done on the ground. Unless it's something like, forensic architecture and mapping drone strikes in Gaza. If it is journalism where you can leave your house and you can talk to people, you should do that. There should be every effort made to go and talk to real people in the reporting rather than just pulling from the online sphere in order to do it. That's not, to me, good journalism per se. But I think so much journalism now is just done from the desk and the keyboard, and people are too scared to pick up the phone or actually ask an extra question, or the why. Every like a good piece of journalism should really try and answer the why, and if you don't get the why, you should go and phone another person. Why has this happened? Who's behind this? There should be an answer within good journalism.
Is that retraction of journalism from kind of going out there, because you have this archetype of the journalist, right? The shoe leather being journalist. Like that answer and like picking up the phone and going out and banging on a door. Is that retraction to do with, say, a collapse of the business model of a lot of places now? But then somewhere like the BBC doesn't have that business model. So
the business model is always a fallacy anyway.
Okay.
Journalism is always, when journalism was based on subs, that was like in, back in the days when trade unions behind papers, etc.
Which they should be.
There were always like rich proprietors behind papers. Even when papers are profitable, you had this person. Whereas what's happened, I guess, is like, so the reason the Guardian is still like quite a good paper is because they have a trust behind it. So they're not beholden to the mercurial nature of Jeff Bezos, but they do have loads of money. Good. That's why the New York Times, they've got so much money. They've managed to also expand what they do. And I know people have got beef for the New York Times for various reasons, but they still do put out really excellent journalism. New York Magazine, I think, is fantastic. That's my favourite thing to read. Really wonderful journalism, really great narrative journalism. left-wingers who want to read good journalism, read New York Magazine. They do the best sort of like mainstream coverage of Palestine that you will get.
Okay.
Genuinely fantastic stuff. And they're being sold. They're being sold, funnily enough, to James Murdoch. Because
are they?
Yeah, he's the most liberal of the Murdochs.
Is he?
Yeah, he's.
Did he win? Did he win the case or no?
They all won the case. They got like
they all got a bit million. Of it.
Yeah, but it's being sold because it only, this is what's funny. Like people expect journalism to make this massive profit. New York Magazine and New York Media. I think New York Magazine made like a 6 million profit, and that was after having like 600 million put in it. It still came out with a profit, but it's not enough for the company behind it. So they're like, we're going to sell it.
Well, that's like. Is it the Bezos one, Washington Post, that done a massive cull of its staff, even though it was kind of turning a profit?
Yeah, and now they're not turning a profit because it's terrible.
Well,
no. The Washington Post, when Bezos culled the staff this time, wasn't turning a profit, but they weren't turning a profit because they had turned a profit in like 2013 to I think 2015. And then Bezos took it over and it stopped turning a profit because slowly the talent he brought in was terrible. And they didn't have a strategy and they didn't grow with the times, and now they're really tanking. But this is the thing, they'll just make when papers stop turning this profit, they'll cut more instead of doing what I think, which is you need to up the quality of what you're doing and think if you can cut things, but think about where you're actually going to cut things. Like, let's be sensible. Let's not just go to AI slop.
I mean, how do you compete if you're a journalist who cares about that human story? How do you compete with influencer journalists and, say, Twitter journalists, which is now ex-journalists? I'm thinking of that. Do you know that American kid, Nick Shirley? Have you seen him?
Never heard of him, thank God.
Have you not? Oh, God. Well, he is probably the stupidest person in the world. Like, genuinely, like, really stupid. But he did a... expose about the Somalian community in Minnesota.
Good Lord.
And Elon Musk shared the video and it got like 50 million views on Twitter. I refuse to call it X. And now he's just a journalist who the right like...
But that's not journalist, that's just an influencer.
No, it's not. But he is being portrayed as a journalist by millions of people.
You have to sort of ignore them.
Okay.
If you want to do good work, you have to ignore the people who are doing bad work. And you have to find a way to dull that noise. And you probably have to build your own platform that you then take offline.
Okay.
That you then transfer into something else. Whether that is offline in the sense of a podcast, which is not fully offline, but it's still something.
It's not on that social media.
Yeah. Or whether it's events, or whether it's a physical like publication you put out. And you could obviously like try and launch a magazine with lots of different people, but if you join somewhere which does that sort of work, but if you spend your life trying to like whack-a-mole all the people who are doing terrible work and you're like, I can't believe 12 million people like this, I could do that to the cows come home, and sometimes I do, and do you know what, I don't get anything out of those days. They're so unproductive. Like, what have I come at? I just have a loss of hope at the end of the day. Is that actually going to be what I need to live with for the rest of my life? Is that how I want to live the rest of my life? Just looking around and thinking like, I'm living in the wreckage of I'm living in the wreckage of a golden age that wasn't even a golden age. It's like we have to find a way to survive somehow, and that way is probably removing yourself from that sort of like Colosseum.
Yeah.
What's the amphitheatre? Removing yourself from the bay amphitheatre where you've got the baying mobs who want to see people like Nick Shirley doing that sort of journalism.
What would you describe an influencer journalist as? Because
somebody who doesn't understand media law.
Really? Oh, what? No. Someone who's just... Because you kind of have to be, or a lot of journalists are participating in the influencer space now.
I've done it. An influencer journalist is again, the lines are blurred. I would say if it's an influencer journalist, you're probably seeing most of their work play out on short form video. And the question is like, what are they influencing you into? So the influencer journalist would be someone like Alex Jones. Okay, yeah. Because Alex Jones before InfoWars was shut down, because the point of his journalism is to, first of all, influence you to a way of thinking, but also buy his shit products. So all journalists are influential, but not all journalists are influencers. Like
Okay.
you can be online as well, but it's like, what am I influencing you into? If it is just to read my story, am I influencer journalist or am I just using a digital platform? That's something I've had to think about myself. Like, when would I be an influencer and when would I be a journalist?
What do you think of TikTok as a
It's a great
place of
evil.
information?
A great evil.
Yeah.
I actually deleted it. From
Have
my
you
phone.
deleted it?
I literally only yesterday because I looked and I thought, I'm having to start my great wean off.
Okay.
So I'm starting my great wean off before I try and use a dumb phone.
Are you going to do that?
I
What
mean,
have you
not
done?
forever.
So what have you got rid of? You got rid of...
I had to get rid of, so because it's, you know, I have a full-time job at the moment, which means I still have to use some of these things. So I've got my Lock Me Out app for Instagram.
Okay.
And then TikTok's had to go. I'm like, I don't need this. There's someone else who's I used to have to post TikToks for my job, but I don't anymore.
Okay.
So
Yeah, because I've seen you do a couple of talking heads.
Well, like, the thing is, I like doing a talking head, and I
Yeah.
won't stop doing that. If I want to post it, I'll just post it online. But if I have that on my phone, it's going to kill me.
I've seen the dangers of TikTok firsthand, right? Because I love talking, I have opinions, and you can just say an opinion, and then it will go quite viral, and then someone does that enough times, and then suddenly they're an authority. And actually, what I realize is that, like, I have no authority.
That's punditry.
I just say, well, these people are becoming
Exactly. Mini pundits. It's just online pundits.
It is online pundits, but I kind of think if the only thing they have is through TikTok, you shouldn't listen to them because there's nothing you can really learn through TikTok. The best you can do is like, okay, they have a TikTok, maybe they have a Substack, or maybe they wrote a book or something, and you can go to that. But like,
But that's all. That's a lot of that's nonsense too. Like most of our Substacks are navel gazing. There's some Substacks I follow where I think that's really solid journalism, and also I don't think the conversation is making me sound like I think the only form of writing that is worthy is journalism. Not true. But we're talking about journalism, and I'm talking about people who position themselves as journalists. There's a lot of people out here position themselves as journalists where I'm like, no, you're a lifestyle writer, and that's fine, and you should be happy doing that. I was a lifestyle writer, then I was a political writer. Now I'm a journalist. I might transition to being a novelist. These are different disciplines within writing.
yeah,
When I was an opinion writer, was I a journalist? I'm not sure. I think I was an opinion writer. When I do reporting, I've got a journalist hat on. These are different things, but we've blanketed everything as a journalist.
yeah. I mean, I even saw it in the, no offense to anyone, but like, you know, Amnesty did their, like,
Media awards.
media awards, and it was like journalist award, right? And like some of the journalists were literally like on the ground war reporters, and then some of them were YouTubers, and I'm like,
there's a gap here.
there is a difference between those two things.
There is a but this is the thing, there is a difference, but we've eradicated the difference, and I think that's also difficult because it does make the bar to entry for people like but I want to be a journalist because they attach so much to this title of journalist. It's like, okay, you can do that, and I get what there's a lot of ego involved. One of the most egotistic industries apart from theatre and acting, you know, is journalism. Journalism, everyone's ego is huge. It's nuts. It's really nuts.
I mean, okay. Well, let's talk a little bit more about you, right? I'm thinking, do you have career highlights? Because I'm thinking your wonderful piece calling Keir Starmer a wet wipe.
People love that,
but
big. That was quite shit.
Didn't you like that? That was another like Moya moment. If you were in 20 years' time and you were like a pop singer doing like Mighty Hoopla, you would have to do Keir Starmer as a wet wipe.
See, that's something that I didn't do because I was only okay at it, which is singing. I'm okay at singing, but it's a thing that I would never do because I'd have to have grafted at it, and I would have been average.
Yeah, and I love singing, and I'm not good at it, and I tried to do singing lessons, and it just
it's too hard. This is the thing. It's like it's too hard. If I'd have pursued that from a young age, my life would have been very different.
Okay, what else? What other alternative Moyas are there?
Academics.
What type?
Probably history.
Okay.
Historian. Again, don't like concentrating on detail, so I would have struggled. There's probably some university where I trained to be a lawyer and realised again I'm not good at detail and don't like losing. So I mean,
you did the history podcast.
I did a history podcast,
which was very good.
Yeah, I love that. That was a highlight. The career highlights are not the things that went biggest. The career highlights are often the things that people didn't really see. There's a Substack I wrote, which is one of my favourite things I've ever written. It's got barely any, not barely any views, but it didn't get any likes. But like, Which one was it? I was reading it yesterday. I was like, I'm really proud of that piece. But no one will read it, you know?
I mean, you got to, I suppose.
Whereas the ones people read it, when I write about sex, everyone's like, bleh.
And then you write about everything on your Substack,
It's just a
don't
column.
you?
It's a column. It's a column, and it's a way to just keep sort of the machine going, I guess.
Do you find like pressure? I always think that about columnists, where sometimes you kind of feel like you've just woken up and you have to write because you need the money, or you're contracted if you're like a newspaper columnist, and you just churn out whatever the fuck. You know what I mean?
I do feel a pressure because it's now...
Not that you're doing that, sorry.
No, I am. It's kind of whatever the fuck. That's the point of it. It's like whatever the fuck. I do feel a pressure in the sense that it's now a nice bit of income. Okay. And if I want to do certain things, I need that income. Yeah. So there is a pressure, and I fluctuate by about like 5 or 6 paid subscribers. Okay. Out of the 300 whatever odd. So when it goes down a little bit, I panic. I have to get it back up.
I need to write about
Love Island. Yeah, but the more I'd write about Love Island, the less people would actually engage with it, is the problem. Yeah. And that's something I'm really struggling with is, again, which is this idea I have to write about what I actually want to and keep doing that, because otherwise you drive away the key audience who actually have all been there from the get-go.
Who like it because it's your worldview.
Yeah.
I mean, you said on your website that you will follow any story that calls or something like that?
Yeah, I don't know. Whatever, I fired up my ass there.
Yeah, no, well, it was a good... I was like, I need a website like this, reading it. I was like, all those pictures of you, the illustrations, it was really good. It was a really good website.
Thank you very much. That needs updating. Yeah, I think with me, the problem is like if I get bored, I can't see things through. Mm-hmm. So it has to be, how do I stick with this? You know, there's lots of Substacks. The Substack is not particularly... It's very much a casualized thing because I'm bad at keeping a diary. And I need to keep that writing flow going. But I think Substack, again, is sort of going to be over within about a year.
You think?
Oversaturated.
It is definitely oversaturated. Do you... I've noticed a lot of people who can't make money in the print media anymore are basically doing Substacks.
Yeah, and what they will realise is that that's not going to make them money either, and they should make money in print instead.
Oh my God, did you see that Nigel Farage is starting in... I don't know if it's a Substack, but he's doing a Nigel Farage mailing list essays.
It wouldn't surprise me.
Because apparently he can't get his voice out enough.
Well, it's because the Cameo got shut down.
Cameo got shut down?
No, his Cameo.
Oh, his Cameo.
No, he shut his Cameo down because he was being tricked into saying racist things or etc. Sorry.
Up the RA, he said that.
It was more that he did a thing about some neo-Nazi group in Canada not realising that it was a neo-Nazi group because it's just Cameo, just reading stuff. So people could buy it. He'd read anything is the problem.
Yeah, I don't get it.
And he's like the leader of Reform, so you can get a political leader who might be the next prime minister to say anything for 70 quid. And he was really responsive.
I mean, it is kind of crazy that he would do it. And does he need the money?
No,
how much money is he making from it?
So much money. Well, he makes so much money in general. He got like £5 million
from that guy.
But that's the thing about Nigel
And he's got
Farage.
his TV show, and he's like a banker.
He's a millionaire, multi-millionaire, and he's made so much money from this. And you have to think about someone who's hoarding money. Why do they need to hoard money? What are they foreseeing in the future? He's going to go away and he's going to leave us with all the damage.
Yeah. Do you know the thing that I think about is, you know, these billionaires who are building bunkers and like super yachts that can stay on oceans forever and ever or whatever.
They've always been doing that though.
Yeah, but...
The guy who like, the leader of Albania, that madman who claimed to be a communist but wasn't, up until the 1990s, he spent, I think, what was like 1/5 of the country's money on building nuclear bunkers.
Who is he?
Can't remember his name. But he was the leader of Albania. And he ruined the country.
I'm kind of obsessed with those guys, but it's not. It's not Tito.
He was building. No. Tito was the socialist.
Okay.
So Tito was the socialist. He was further up. So Tito didn't have Albania. Tito had.
Yeah.
Actually, did he have
Yugoslavia.
Albania?
I don't think Albania was part of Yugoslavia. No.
No, but this guy. So this guy was post World War II to 1991. Leo Yippi writes about him in Free.
Okay.
And he spent a lot of money on building nuclear bunkers. They all do.
I mean,
they get paranoid.
But
Kanye has a nuclear bunker.
But what I don't understand, right, about, say, Mark Zuckerberg, or Jeff Bezos, whoever, Elon Musk, he has a nuclear bunker. or there's climate collapse, society collapses, you go into your bunker, you being a billionaire no longer means shit. The person, your head of security is going to have you fucking bent over a barrel in about 24 hours, and he's going to be king of the bunker land. Because it's just going to go back to fucking whoever controls the fucking...
of course, but it's not about what's actually... It's not about reality, is it?
No.
It's about the illusion of maintaining ultimate control forever and ever. And it's like the same thing as the guys trying not to die. It's the illusion of control that they are desperately trying to gain. And that's another thing that money, when you get that much money, it's just like the only thing to do is go mad.
Yeah. It turns you into a psychopath, doesn't it?
The only thing that when you have that much unlimited power, it will turn you mad. It could have any... It's like Lord of the Rings. Frodo went nuts for a reason. At the end, what happens in Lord of the Rings? Frodo doesn't resist the ring.
No, Gollum falls into the...
Gollum eats his finger and it falls off. The resistance was not there.
Yeah. Do you miss doing political punditry?
No, because I talk on a podcast every other week.
Well, so you got it anyway.
I talk on a podcast every other week. I'm not reading enough at this point in time
to keep up with the news and that.
I keep up with the news, but like to want to give that context. I think the best political punditry I ever did was when I could bring historical context or bring another perspective to what I was saying. The worst was when I was just like wheeled out every Thursday.
One of my favourite moments from you, I remember, I don't really watch it anymore, but I did back then, when you were Navarra girly, I remember it must have been like a Meghan and Harry thing or something like that, or maybe Prince Andrew. And I remember one of them asking you like, oh Moya, what's your opinion on the royal family? And I remember you going, I don't have one. You were like, I don't want to talk about the royal family. I was like, okay.
I don't recall that, but that's...
I do remember. It was a while ago. I do remember it. Okay, do you have any advice for someone who is starting out as a writer in journalism now?
As a journalist or as a writer? Which one?
Why don't you do both?
Okay.
Because you are both.
As a writer, log off. It depends what you're writing. If you're writing fiction, log off. If you're writing non-fiction, go to the library.
Okay.
That's my advice. Read narrative books. Read really good narrative non-fiction journalism. Read really good, well-structured books. Read things, and when you're reading, note what you're being swept along by, and note when a book is a dud. And think, why is it a dud? Do some analysis. Do an analysis. Get off TikTok. Allow yourself to be bored. That's my advice for writers. Allow yourself to be bored, because that's how the creativity comes. And also, I saw great TikTok before I deleted it. But there's this tech founder called Michael Belaine, and I love everything he says. And I'm going to miss him on TikTok because he's really good. And he was talking about the taste gap, which stops people completing projects. And I was like, that's what it is. So when you have someone who thinks that they have good taste, or you know what you enjoy, right? And then you try and create something. The gap between what you know is good and what you do is what's going to stop you carrying on. Because when you first do something, it's going to be caca. You have to push past that. Be aware that it's meant to be caca. It's going to be caca. First draft's going to be bad. You have to keep going. The 98% of people won't keep going. Be the 2%. Keep going. That's my writer advice. Journalist advice, again, if you're just starting out, you don't need an A-list story. The A-list story comes from doing the D-list story. And I don't mean tabloid stories. I mean by doing a story about something around you. Okay. Read narrative nonfiction, good narrative nonfiction. You can read your Patrick Radden Keefe's, but think about how he's doing this. He's talking to people. He got that story by being on a podcast and talking to one of the producers. And they said, I've got this really good story for you. The more you talk to people and say, what's going on in the neighborhood, what's happening, the more you will hear. And you can write a story about anything. You can go to your local takeaway and do a profile of the guys at like Super Kebab. You know, like you can go to the park and you ask some people like, oh, what's going on with you right now? And some people say, I don't want to talk. And some people say, oh yeah, I will talk. Just say, I'm a local writer. I write a newsletter. It could be a lie. You don't have to write a newsletter. But just be like, I'm just writing about the local neighborhood. Like, you know, if you were mayor for a day, what would you change? Ask questions that will get you answers. Don't say like, are you interested in politics? That's a yes, no question. Ask questions like, oh, I heard there's a new development. Do you know anything about this? And they might be like, no. And they'll be like, have you got any feelings about development? Yeah, I do actually. You know, like, just talk to people. That's how you'll get your stories. I met someone in a cab recently he told me all sorts of goings on that had been at this club that served West African diaspora in like Poplar, and he was telling me, oh, they brought these sex workers in, and like this big dog from night. That's a great story. Great story. I'm not going to write it because the clubs goes down. I don't have an in with the demographic. That was just in a cab, you know. Like you hear these stories all the time if you just talk to people, and then you think, okay, I'm going to write about that. That's it. 800 words. You're not writing a 10,000 word essay. Write 800 good words. That's how you start.
Beautiful.
Thanks.
Beautiful. Before we get off, I haven't forgotten. I want to hear about how Moya found love.
No one cares about this.
But I think what's interesting is
it would be exclusive if I told you because I'm not meant to tell the story.
You were kind of, I don't want not to insult you, but you were like,
you can insult me.
You were on the hetero-pessimism.
I was on the hetero-pessimism
bandwagon for a little bit.
I was on it.
You were on the femcel.
I got femcel. I would like to say
femcelled.
that if you read my Substacks, long before I met my boyfriend, I was recognising that the femcel route was not a good one for me. So I wrote a piece called In the Tower, where I was talking about, actually, I've realised that a lot of what I do is, you know, I've put the walls up. Mm-hmm. And that is really impeding my ability to meet someone. And I wasn't looking to meet someone, but I was a lot more open to the idea of, like, I can have a casual lover. Like, when I met my now partner, it's quite new, but because we're in our 30s, we're very like, yeah, partner.
Yeah.
It's just funny how that switches. You're like, yeah, I can envisage marrying you very easily. You know, before you're like, whoa.
I mean, you do have to kind of grow up and be a bit like, yeah, anyway.
You know, you're talking about melded lives quite early on, and you're like, yeah, that's fine. And if it doesn't happen, it's also fine.
You're going to be a partner, you're going to be Ms.
Yeah. So I was right. I was already on the wave of like, it doesn't matter if the changes I'm making don't lead to, you know, meeting a great love in my life, but the changes I'm making to the way I see relationships and how I form relationships will change, you know, how I relate to my friends, and they will change you know, I can have romantic entanglements and them not be a dreadful thing. Like every time a romantic entanglement goes wrong, it's not going to feel like I failed in some way, or that there's that every man is a cursed person, because if you can't learn to live with a gender that makes up like 50% of the world, I'm going to lead a very bad life. And I think all the things that I said about sort of men, I stand by, but I think it's, what I do, I mean, like patriarchy is a real poison for all of us. And you can see that in what's happening with sort of the trickle down of manosphere, the polarization of men and women in particular. It's doing a real number on gender relations. It's very, and I was like, I can't be part of that. I need to not let myself be part of that. Politically, it is not good for me to be part of that and have the sort of, even the small audience I do, and be saying those things without caveating how I play a role, how like the wider social structure plays a role. So I was already writing about that by the time I met him. The way I met him, I haven't really talked about publicly.
Go on, tell us.
No, because I shouldn't.
But you don't want to, or you...
This is an exclusive. Okay. I met him via my podcast.
If I speak?
Yeah.
Okay, how?
Oh, this
was he a listener?
He was sort of, but not.
Oh my God, is this... Okay, I might know... No, I don't know the story, so you got to tell me.
Yes.
Did somebody write in?
In a manner.
Did somebody write into the podcast saying they fancied you or something?
No, people did do that though. It didn't work.
Okay, go on.
I did a segment on the podcast called Misconnections.
Okay.
Where I was trying to get, you know what misconnections are?
Where you see someone you fancy, but you can't.
You haven't talked to them, so people sent them in. And someone sent in a misconnection about someone. And they got in touch to say, oh, that's me.
Yeah.
But they said they weren't interested in the person romantically.
Yeah, but they were interested in you.
They didn't say that initially.
Okay.
They didn't say that at the start. But then we talked occasionally in a very casual way. He was an interesting man. And I won't tell the whole story on the podcast, but eventually I was in my phase of like, I'm ready to meet people, like just hang out as friends.
Yeah.
And I'd been going on like friend dates and normal dates, and he happened to be back. He'd moved back to the city that he lives in.
Yeah.
And he was like, do you want to have a pint? And I was like, yeah.
Nice.
He was like, we'll go on a friend date.
A friend date?
He said, we'll go on a friend date. was not a friend date.
It was. Did you know it wasn't a friend date initially? Did you not want it to be?
I was open to it not being a friend date, but I also was very glad he'd said it was a friend date because that, you know, the ambiguity.
Yeah.
Which is funny because on the podcast that I do, If I Speak, me and Ash had a whole episode where I was like, dates need to be, you know, clear. You have to say it as a date, clear cut. And then like a few weeks later, I met him in this very ambiguous. And Ash had argued really strongly. She was like, no, there needs to be an ambiguous sort of like frizz-on, and you don't know whether it's a date or not. And I was like, no, that's hell.
But I think
and then I had that.
Yeah, I think that is interesting. Sorry to that. Sometimes we have those views or structures, but real life is far more porous than that. Do you know what I mean?
Far more porous. And the thing that makes me embarrassed about the story, because it sounds like I stole someone's misconnection, which is sort of on paper, yes, but in reality there was actually a year between him writing in.
Oh wow! And so you were like talking that whole time and becoming like pen pals.
This is the thing. I'm also against pen pals, but he would reply to me on social media.
Did you say you're against pen pals?
Yeah, I'm against pen pals.
Okay.
I think pen pals is, if you're a pen pal and dating, you build up fantasy.
Okay.
But he would just reply every now and then, and he was saying interesting things to me. And did I start dating a reply guy? I don't know. He'd probably hate me describing him as that. But it was a year after he'd written in to the podcast and to when I actually met him in person. And if we'd been proper pen pals, I wouldn't have met him because I am very against, like, you can't build up a fantasy idea of someone. But it was just every now and then he'd say something in response to like a story prep. And you can actually track because he was like asking, do you want to hang out, way before I agreed to. And you can track the moment that I suddenly gained interest in him as a person.
Was there something that made that happen? Or?
I think it was the therapy. Okay. I think it was the therapy, and I was dating more and I was more open. And he caught me on just the right day, and he said something really interesting. And I was just like, this guy might be actually really interesting. I should go and hang out with him. Let's see.
And then he turned out to be. And
then I went and saw him, and I walked into the pub, and I thought, oh no, I really fancy this man without even like talking to him. It's just weird. It's
sometimes that happens.
It's just lightning. Well, that is what's happened to me every time I've had a boyfriend. And it was just like, I don't want to say lightning because it's cliche, but it did feel like, oh, it's you.
Yeah.
It was actually nicer than that. It was like, oh, it's you. And then he spent the rest of the date trying to convince me he just wanted to be friends, which actually then later turned out he'd said that because he thought that I just wanted to be friends.
Oh, he didn't want to think that he was turning it into... He didn't want to scare the hose. Oh.
And eventually that miscommunication was ironed out. So
you ironed it out. I think there is that thing when you're dating and you're having trouble with dating, you start to go, oh, maybe I need to look for someone who's like this, or maybe I need to look for someone who's like that. And actually what kind of tends to happen is you just end up forcing it with somebody, and you're like, and then it grinds it down. But sometimes, like, I don't believe you can get the ick from someone you are into.
No, like, I truly agree with that. Like, I just met him and it was just like, yeah, it's you. And from the moment he started talking to me and telling me, you know, I was just like, you're so interesting and you're so curious and you're so funny and you're so charismatic, but you're not a prick. And he just had all these qualities that just kept stacking on top of each other. And if I'd been on an app, I probably wouldn't have swiped right because I'd found something wrong with him. And then in person, it was just like, yeah, you.
That is nice.
Yeah.
And that poor If I Speak listener.
I feel so bad.
She was a big Ash and Moya head, and now
I do worry that I've done something like.
Do you know what? There's a story there about is he your main? Has he been mained yet? Has he been on main yet?
He's been on main.
Because there's a story there about the woman who wrote into If I Speak, and now she's gonna watch this love story happen.
She says she's not on social media, which makes me feel better, but like.
Okay, but it is what it is. Love is love, and
no, because I do. If I do think that like, I didn't set anything up, and also like he wrote back to her before we started dating or anything like that. So saying, you know, I'm happy to be hanging out as friends, and she didn't get back to him. So it was 12 calendar months later.
Well, it is what it is, but it is a funny story.
It is a funny
like
story.
My imagination of this woman who's kind of like watching this relationship
and I'd be like,
unfold,
that bitch!
going and saying, yeah,
that bitch took my man!
Turning up at your fucking wedding, like.
She should, you know, it would be her right to stand up and say, I object.
She fucking
it should have been me.
Do you know my biggest fear? I was really young and I met an older gay guy who he had just been in it. He was in a relationship, and this is my biggest fear. He was in a relationship, and then they opened it up to a throuple.
Oh yeah, I know
and
where this
then
is
the
going.
throuple,
Turned
the
into
other
a
two,
couple.
kicked him
A
out.
reconstituted
Yeah, they kicked him
couple.
out. And that, I remember hearing that when I was about 18 from this drunk older gay man being like, I'm never getting in a throuple.
But that on his part would have been a failure to recognise their relationship was over.
Yeah.
Because I know so many gay guys in very happy, healthy, open relationships.
Yeah.
Probably the only demographic who's able to do open relationships. It's not to say that they don't go wrong, but like out of everyone I know who does open relationships, the gays are so much better at it than the heads.
Do you have an opinion on how it functions for heterosexual couples?
Yeah.
Do you want to go into that?
Badly.
Because on the one hand, we can wrap up soon, but on the one hand, there is different ways in which men and women have access to sex, I think. And I wonder how it functions in an open heterosexual relationship.
It's hard to say because you hear stories of men who shag around loads in the open relationship and the women doesn't, and then but vice versa.
Yeah.
I think fundamentally the problem is when, and this isn't to say it doesn't happen in gay relationships, it does, I've seen it, but I think a lot of het relationships tend to open up when they're failing and they don't open up from a place of strength. Whereas I think it's much more sort of par for course in the gay community that the relationships open up from a place of strength. When both participants are like, yeah, we're really happy together, it'd be great to open up. Like I was interviewing Jeremy Atherton Lynn recently about, and he's written this amazing memoir that's mixed with social history about Deep House, about his relationship. And they opened it up, but and then they got, married years later. Like they opened up from a place of strength when they're young because they got together when they're 19. They were like, when we're not done sexually exploring, but let's, we don't want to split it up, so let's open up. It wasn't a place of, we need to defibrillate this relationship, so let's go find other partners. And I think because it's perhaps more established as a custom in the gay community, there's more understanding of the practice and what it needs to make a successful open relationship, which is like communication, consent, and comfort. The 3 C's, there's a big study about this. Whereas in the straight community, it's seen as like, we hate each other, let's bring some more people in.
Yeah.
Like, let's go, we're too scared to leave each other, so we're going to open this up. I think that the power struggle as well there fails. There's less of like, I don't know, again, in the gay community, there's obviously not, everyone doesn't feel equal, but I think there's something to do with like the polarization and the gulf between men and women that happens now, which makes the open relationship and like the jealousy and the feelings like fester far more. There's something about the sexual politics that plays out that doesn't seem to work as well. Not to say it can't, but I think it would take a reconstitution of like how these relationships are set up in the first place.
Yeah. Well, what happened to swingers? There used to be swingers, and now it's like we're open.
I think swingers maybe was it's only for people who are over 50.
Oh, really? Is it kind of like keys in the bowl kind of vibe?
Yeah, and now now the young people are doing poly relationships.
Well, thank you for educating me about heterosexual.
Well, I don't know if
open relationships.
I'm just talking from perspective that I see.
Yeah, I mean it is different. I do believe that there is a different sexual psychology which men and women operate under.
Yeah. I think there is, and it could be just socialization.
Yeah.
Like, but I've also got friends who've like experienced both genders, and they're like, no, it's so fucking different when you change from being like a man to a woman, and like the difference in your sexual outlook and the way that you perceive sex and pursue sex is so different.
Yeah.
And like, so I think there is like the biology of just changing your sex as well.
Yeah, 100%.
It does change the way you relate to it.
And how much you like the type of sex you want to have.
Yeah. It's really interesting.
It is. But yeah, I think we've spoken a lot.
I hope so.
I just want to know, what have you had enough of?
Oh, I'm a Luddite now at the internet. I've had enough of the internet. I've had enough of technology.
The internet, the World Wide Web.
I've had enough. I think I've had enough of smartphones, fundamentally.
Okay.
But I think laptops also play into it. I've had enough of being plugged in.
Yeah.
That's what I've had enough of.
Do you have the bravery to unplug? Could you spend a day off the internet?
Yeah, I could, but I'm working towards a place where I can be unplugged. And I think that takes like, it doesn't take bravery, but it will take guts on my end, because so much of my career has been based on sort of like having a minor public profile. And to get rid of that, I think we'll do some, I've been working towards that, but it's
Is there nothing about the internet that you... Is it just the fact that it's like this social internet that's kind of like destroying society, or is it like... Do you like the access to information? Or
I think the internet's done loads of good, don't get me wrong. But I think the bad it is doing right now is the plugged-inness 24/7. Unless we just have like the internet 1 hour a day. I think the degradation it's done to society... I'm getting Luddite. Like, I'm fully getting Luddite. You see like the impact of smartphones on socialising, on sex, on childbirth rates, you know... The way we think.
Do you think it's affected childbirth rates?
Ash and I did a podcast about this, and it's affected. It is one of the things affecting the rate we're having children. I don't want children, but the way that the smartphone has come into our lives and moved us from. I know Thatcher obviously did a lot of this, but like moved us from the collective to the individual and siloed our experiences, and put us. It's made everything so flat. Everything's in the same register. It really bums me out. I can't read a map.
Yeah.
I can't read a map. Like, I love my smartphone. That's why I need to get rid of my smartphone.
Do you know
I'm an addict. I'm a real addict.
I'm a real addict. And like, we spoke about reading. I've spoken about this before on the podcast. Like, it smashed my reading to pieces when I got a smartphone. Like, because I got ADHD, and before I had a smartphone, I needed to think about something all the time, and I read.
I would read constantly. Like, I would walk around. I got sent to counselling in school because they caught me reading a book under the table. And when kids read books, they're like, those are the kids who need to escape in fantasy all the time. So they sent me to counselling.
Oh, really? Is that what the old problem was? No.
Yeah, no. Now it'll be like the kids who are on the games all the time.
Yeah.
But you know about like addiction frameworks, and it's like the fact that we all have this addiction to a smartphone, but it's so normalised.
Yeah.
Imagine if I was doing cocaine the way I use my phone.
And I have.
Yeah.
And I
can't say it because my mum might listen.
Yeah. No, but I mean, exactly, and I do agree. But the other thing about you know, reading a map, we have this access to all this information, but because we have the access to it, we're not retaining it. No. So we're not retaining it. Like, before I would learn something. Yeah. Now I read it. Do you know what? I've got a friend and she hates it. She goes, if she's like having a conversation and she's like, oh, I wonder, like,
you'll look it up.
I wonder what blah, 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 blah. And I look it up. She goes, no, I wanted to like talk about it, like what I wanted to imagine, and I wanted to think it. And so she hates it.
My boyfriend and I have a thing where we're like, we can't look things up when we're together. Sometimes we forget and break it, but it's the functionality is like, let's chat about this. It's a stimulus rather than like a problem to be fixed via the internet. Yeah.
But I love doing that thing because obviously I'm a phone addict, but I love doing that thing where I put my phone down like a second before my boyfriend, and I'm like, look how unplugged I am. Exactly. I can't believe you're treating me like this.
We're meant to be talking right now.
Yeah, exactly. Wow, we're at a restaurant. Like, looking at the waiter.
Have some decorum, please. Let's be in the moment together.
But I did. Was it? I read an interview, and I saw an interview. I think it was Christopher Nolan, because I think it was around the Odyssey or whatever. He says he's like offline, and he has to have an assistant come to him and be like, hey, these guys have messaged you, what's your reply? Which is kind of fun.
If I was rich, I'd want to do that, but then you're just subliminating the problem to someone else.
But
you can carry my internet addiction for me.
Yeah, that's the beauty of being a rich person. Okay.
Well, that also will be the separation, by the way. In the years to come, the separation is going to be the truly rich are going to be the unplugged. And they will be the ones who have the physical media. They're the ones who's going to pay for that. The rest of us, now AI has come in, we're going to be stuck with AI slop.
I mean, I'm not being funny. Private schools, rich schools are not doing fucking iPad lessons.
No.
They are not. We're like, oh yeah, my kids are on an iPad.
They're no screens. The screens are banned in those schools. And you will see the attainment difference.
Fucking Zuckerberg's kids are not online. No. That tells you everything. Anyway, what can't you get enough of?
What can't I get enough of at the moment? Olivia Rodrigo. What can't I get enough of?
Is that your answer? No.
No, it shouldn't be my answer because that album's just come out, so that's recency bias. I'm trying to think what I actually can't. Oh, do you know what? Orzo salad.
Orzo salad? What is orzo salad?
You know orzo?
As in, no.
The pasta. It's the tiny pasta that looks like rice, but it's not rice.
Oh, is that what orzo is?
That's orzo.
It's kind of giving risotto.
I am on, unfortunately, the tinned fish trend, which I was already on, but it's got me.
Is that, and it's like really good protein?
Yeah, but it's just delicious and easy because it keeps. I'm eating so much for lunches. I'm eating so much orzo salad.
It sounds better than Huel.
Oh,
which I do sometimes.
Why?
Because I need 30 more grams of protein,
You just get a shake.
Yeah, I've got a shake as well. So let's not get into it. Let's not get into my eating disorder. But
we could talk about that till the cows come home.
I
You know,
mean-
I'm right there with you.
But I might try that orzo salad.
Love an orzo salad.
Okay.
Delicious.
Beautiful. Well, thank you, Moya.
It's been an absolute pleasure.
I mean, and that is enough about me.